Hello! That's for those of you who are Greg Bennell fans out there. And Greg, if you're watching, yes, there are Greg Bennell fans out there. I'm your host, and going for a little bit of a subdued red glow in the shop today. Just because. Just because. It's not dark side, light side, it's just creative lighting. That's all it is. And that beep you heard was my phone reminding me that I forgot to put it on silent. Well, let's see, I'll just mute everything. Notifications, media. Yeah, hey, I think that's going to work. So if you're watching, as always, there's a chat box to the right. Feel free to type a question. They're already coming in. Pat, welcome. Thanks for joining again. Yeah, you're early. Yeah, starting a little early. Because last time it didn't sync up, and so my first couple attempts failed. A lot of people saying hello. I thought, because I love you guys, I go through some of the past videos, the past 5 videos. We've been doing this every week, Thursday at 4. And some of the questions that I've missed or failed to see or neglected to get to, I thought I'd hit right off the bat. So if you asked your question and it maybe got missed, this is your chance. Someone asked, where can I get that radar screen? I assume they're talking about this. Excellent question. There used to be a place online called thinkgeek.com, and you can get all kinds of really cool geek lifestyle stuff there. They've closed, but I got this there. It's just a radar clock. It's actually a clock, and there's different functions and things like that. When I finish this, I will do a video showing and detailing kind of how I arrived at each of the little segments. I've got a friend who's got a laser cutter that did a face. So if you look really close, there's a really cool laser face. Oh, hello from Germany. Germany's awesome. Never been there. Flew over it once. Very cool. Welcome. Yeah, so if you can find that online from some other supplier, I've looked. I haven't seen them. Otherwise, I would have linked to it in one of my videos that I did recently. But anyways, I'll explain more about that later. Another question, how heavy can you duel with pixel blades? That is an excellent question. And really, it comes down to this. How prepared are you to break or damage a $100 plus blade? That determines how hard you can duel with pixel blades. If you're not afraid to smash it and go, oh, hey, I wrecked it. Now I know. I'll just order another one. If you're cool with that, go nuts. Have fun. If you kind of think like me that $100, in case of my NPX2 blades, $169 blades, a lot of work goes into them, a lot of parts. You don't want to lose that. You don't want to have to replace that. Then I'd lighten up and not duel too hard. In my experience, light dueling, choreographed dueling, all fine. They're all perfectly safe for that kind of thing. If you want to go full out smashing each other with protective gloves and stuff like that, I would recommend against it. So I hope that answers your question. How much trial and error did it take to get the crate bone effect? Some of you have seen sabers I've done, including the Bane saber with a crate bone element to the handle. All I can say is a lot of trial and error and experimentation and failure and discovery went into finally, it was actually an accident. I was working with, I think it was PVC once, and I got to a point where actually, hey, this kind of feels like bone. And I thought, I wonder if I could make it look like bone too. And so then the quest began of making it look like and feel like bone. And then in that time, I have developed a technique for PVC, a technique for 3D printed plastic, depending on the application. But it's been a labor of love over many years to kind of refine that. So I can get to some of those questions later. But feel free to, oh, what's that? Come on in. We're under attack. We have a guest. Come on over, Four Sabers. I'll get into that in a minute. Anything you'd like to say, Tristan, to the internet?
Hi, world. I've never seen so many people.
Someone's watching from Germany. Yeah, and then there's Pat from down the road.
Oh, her, yeah.
Germany, though, like, that's pretty cool.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, your boots are making farting sounds. This just turned into a comedy. Is the rest?
Well,
Go get them,
okay.
and then when they're all ready, you can come back in.
Okay.
I gotta handle some more questions. I'm missing questions as they're coming in. What was my career before lightsabers? In 2010, I went pro, lightsabers full time. The 15 years before that, I was a pastor. I worked as a youth pastor and a young adult pastor in a church in Edmonton and a church on Vancouver Island. And before that, I had various jobs. I worked at Canadian Tire in the warehouse. I installed electronics, lots of little jobs and things like that. But yeah, this is a kind of a second career for me, as it were. Sorry if I'm missing your questions. You're gonna, like I said before, if you ask a question and if I fail to answer it, go ahead in a few minutes, type it in again. Oh, hey, the gang's all here. Oh, yeah. So this is my son Aiden. You want to say hi?
Hi.
Yeah, the camera's right there.
Hi.
Well, you don't have to get too close. No, you just come over here. Here, come here. So these are my sons. Okay, chill. And this is all the people who buy my sabers and stuff. But there's one more very important member of the crew. Come on in. This is my wife, the Winter Runner, who you may have seen in other videos.
Hello.
So this is our whole family. And for those of you who actually warrant a Christmas card, which we do every 3 years or so.
5 now.
5, every 5 years.
5 years.
Then you'll know a little bit of what the family looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah. So is it cool that your dad builds lightsabers?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I want to do a lightsaber fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll do a lightsaber fight, but not today.
Aw.
Okay. So thank you for coming in to say hi.
Thank you.
Thanks for stopping in. Guys, I wanted you to see my family. So it's so bright out there.
So bright.
You may not realize that the set behind me covers a window, and that's where the illumination comes from, and all the different segments are essentially drilled holes and lenses and things like that. Hi from Yorkshire. What would you say is better for hard dueling, NeoPixel or Tricolor? Hands down, your Tri-Cree blade with no LEDs in the blade is going to be better for dueling. You can also have several blades ready to go, so if you're dealing with some buddies and you break one, you put another one in. The NeoPixel blades adds a little bit, not much, but a little bit more weight to the blade. So when you're using the 1/8 inch polycarbonate, there's more of a chance that it can actually create a fold when you're fighting than with the non-NeoPixel blades. Another hi from Germany, Pittsburgh. Everybody's tuning in. We got the world, the whole world. So, hey, Mandalorian Pride, I see you, and you're not late again because you are welcome here to just tune in 7 minutes in. I started early. Any thoughts on making a General Grievous font? No, I have not thought of that until right now. I don't even know what I would do with that. It just kind of, for those of you who follow my sound fonts and enjoy my sound fonts on your sabers, thank you for purchasing from saberfont.com. I develop those basically whenever inspiration hits me. So something that I feel like I want to capture the sound or the feeling of that with a lightsaber, I'll start to work on it. And if it continues to inspire, I'll finish it. Sometimes I just won't finish it and it'll just get shelved into a folder of odd sound effects. I saw that in Utah. I've never been to Utah. I'd love to go hiking there. I'm a big outdoorsy hiking kind of guy with my family. Actually, we're going to start a YouTube channel called The Hiking Family with tips and tricks for hiking. Would people actually watch that? Because my boys want to be YouTube stars, so I don't know, we'll see how it goes. So yeah, welcome wherever you're watching from. Grab a coffee. If you missed it, my family was just here. They're pretty awesome most of the time. And I am awesome less of the time. They're awesome more of the time. Anyways, where do you source your glass gems for crystal chambers? Actually, I don't use glass for crystal chambers. I use quartz. Oh, that's not entirely true. With the Bane sabers, because of the precision fit and replicating it, I actually use glass crystals for the Bane sabers. But primarily on my custom stuff, I use quartz, and I source them eBay, lots, local shops, gem shops. Finding the dual point crystals, with, point on either end, can be a little bit more difficult. You can actually get also polycarbonate in a hex tube, cut it and file down the facet and make a polycarbonate clear machinable gem for your sabers if you need to make something that fits a precision size or something adaptable or adjustable for that size and then lock it in. So I love quartz. Quartz is hard. It's got a raw, authentic, organic look to it, and just the idea that something has been in the ground for thousands of years just seems cool to me. I missed that question. Do you something? But anyways, I appreciate that you guys are tuning in. There's actual questions coming in. So while I'm skipping and missing questions, I thought I'd take a page out of Adam Savage's book and show you tool, tip, trick, something that will help you. And I have, since it's a popular topic right now, rubber gloves. I have experimented with different gloves in the shop for the purposes that I use, everything from surgical gloves to heavy rubber gloves. And I finally found something I really like, and it's these. These are a black nitrile. They're not latex, they're a nitrile glove. These are Giver Plus Glove Plus. Giver is a Canadian thing. Giver. Glove Plus is the brand. I got these on Amazon, and I like them. Here's what I like about them. I like to conserve stuff. I like, if I'm going to do a project that involves paint or solvents or weathering, I may need to come back to it after something dries in 20 minutes, a couple of hours. I like a glove that I can actually remove, set aside, and use again that day, and several times without having to tear it off or turn it all inside out. These you can these you can do that with. They also, this works for that, and it's really easy to get on. They fit really good. These gloves have been great for all kinds of painting projects, weather projects, chemical related things, because you don't want chemicals on your skin. You wouldn't drink it, but you may not be. Actually, you absorb a great deal of stuff through your skin that affects your body. So I recommend gloves. I'm doing that more and more as I get older and wiser. It's funny how that happens. So keep the questions coming. Fire away. Do you like the mood lighting in here? The kind of red thing? I'll give you a bit of it. See if I can show you. I've got the red side lights, and then I've got the drop down screen today, the star chart, just so I can keep an eye on the quadrant and see, be aware if anything's sneaking up on me. Got the red Death Star going on in the background. Have you ever built a commission, loved it so much that you ended up building one for yourself or deciding to keep it? Yes. Not a commission. I've built a project saber, and the Nord Steel one that I showed you last time was an example of that. I love the Nord Steel that I made and sold so much that I made one for myself. So it's been one of my favorite kind of designs. And there's been other examples along the way. But I've never made a copy of a saber that I intended to be a one-of-a-kind. When I make a one-of-a-kind saber, it's meant to be special one-of-a-kind. How long have I worked in this shop? And stuff. What is your favorite sound font from K-Sith? I can't answer that because there are so many good font makers out there that I haven't listened to or tried them all. I tend to use only my own fonts just because that encompasses what I like. So I'm sorry, I can't give you a good opinion of K-Sith's fonts, but I hear good things. So, yeah, this is good. Keep the questions coming. I'll try not to miss them. What do you think would happen in The Mandalorian Season 2? Just reading these questions. What do I think is going to happen in Mandalorian Season 2? I hear that Ahsoka is going to be in it. I would have preferred that on the quest, given the timeline, the quest to discover the origins of Baby Yoda, that inevitably the Mandalorian would have linked up with Luke Skywalker. I would have hoped and expected that. Given that he's now central and the Mandalorian takes place in a fringe outer rim, some other surviving knowledgeable person on Jedi from expanded universes. I would have loved that. What I think is going to happen, I don't know if you remember the Doctor from Season 1, who we didn't see so much, had an emblem on his uniform that was a Kaminoan cloning emblem, which insinuates that something about Baby Yoda is related to potentially cloning. I think what they're going to end up doing is that Baby Yoda's midichlorians are going to have been cloned in him and manufactured in a way that would feed at this point in the timeline, the desperate and almost dead Palpatine. That somehow there's an underlying current of Force users that he needs to bring to himself to keep himself alive. I kind of half expect that that's what they're going to do. That's why they want Baby Yoda, is because there's this secret chain of command that they need Force users to feed this rebirthing emperor. I think that might be where they'll go in Season 2. I have no idea. Part of the reason I like The Mandalorian so much is you really can't tell what they're going to do with it. I would love to see IG-11 come back, but I don't see that happening. Will you ever make a Graflex looking saber? Maybe like the one in part of the... Note to self, yourself, not myself. If you ask a question and it's really long, I will probably miss it and not catch it all. If it's a question, make it as short as possible, because I don't read as fast as these things scroll. So Graflex. I made for myself a Graflex-based replica saber. my replica sabers. I did one called Graflexica years ago, where I experimented with a little digital display in the box and some funny coloring. A long time ago with, I think it was when Custom Saber Shop started doing some Graflex influenced parts that I wanted to play with. That's what that was. I don't really have any intention of doing a Graflex, the Force Unleashed Graflex style saber, just too much exposed guts. Is there a story behind the beard, or was it just time to grow one? I don't know that there's really an interesting story behind the beard. I just started growing one and it kind of grew on me. See what I live near the mountains. I kind of like this idea of this mountain man kind of thing going on, crazy old wizard. That's what you got. That's what it is. If you asked my wife when she was here about my fashion sense, she would tell you that there isn't one. I just do whatever. I'm not one of these artists who actually is really trendy and dresses really nice. Not that at all. What do you consider in your builds in a lightsaber with the works? Ooh, that's changed as the capability of the crystal focus has changed. It used to be the works was just, light and sound. Whoa, it has both. That was years ago. Now the idea of an OLED screen and magnetic activation using the Force, and as many sound fonts as you want, and music on there, and video games on the little OLED screen. I mean, the list goes on and on of capabilities. So in terms of the electronics, setting that aside, I would consider like the works would be dualable, so functional, crystal reveal, something beautiful and intricate that you can open up and be wowed by. That's illuminated and just draws you into the story of the saber. And then all the stuff that you would have in a normal saber. I mean, it looks amazing and just looks real when you pick it up. Am I ever going to upload a video of how I make a sound font? No. The way I do it's going to be different than the way other people do it. And there's a lot of little nuances and things the way I do it that it's just trying to video all that would be very challenging to do a video that makes sense. And it would also give away some of the things I think make my sound font special, which I don't want to do because I want them to be special. Because I want to be special. Does it make sense? Hope so. Not a question, but Revan's Last is my favorite build. Thank you. Currently building one of the same vein. Yeah, that was something in my mind for a while. I love the writing of Drew Karpyshyn. And I'm just reading again. And he wrote a Revan novel, and of course he was instrumental in the writing on the original KOTOR game. So I wanted something that evoked kind of the Revan. There's been a lot of fan-based images of a saber with prongs and different things. I just wanted something that felt right for me, and I like the idea of later in life having the Starforged kind of etching patterns in there. Someone asked about sending sabers in for CFX upgrade. Yeah, I will do that on my production series sabers. Vector, Ascend, Creed, Bad Axe. You can email me, and depending on how available I am, you can ship your saber to me, give you a price on putting a Crystal Focus 10 in it. Sometimes it requires a full rebuild, so it takes a little bit more time, a little bit more money. So yeah, you can email me for details on that. Again, I apologize if I'm missing some of your questions. I have an idea. Everything is actually working in the details. Sorry, I don't understand that. Do I still use MHS parts? Yes. On my high-end custom stuff, I'll use MHS parts as kind of a base, a palette to build off of. I'll machine them, alter them, make them work differently for whatever purposes. I just find they're really well thought out and well designed parts to build from. So for custom sabers, I often still use MHS parts. Have you ever considered hosting a fee-based classes on lightsaber design and construction videos? Fee-based videos. I actually started that back in the day when I started Mad Cow's Shop Secrets. And I ended up nixing the paid access videos, and rather partnering with a custom saber shop for mutual exposure and just doing videos with and for them for a while. So they're loaded on the Custom Saber Shop's YouTube channel, but I also have, them on my YouTube channel, and I've done some other ones. So rather than do kind of for a paid access, I'm just kind of throwing up videos as things come up that I think are helpful. I haven't done one in quite a while. Things have been changing. I'm actually quite busy here. So it's challenging to do things and video those things that you are doing with just one person. And what is a 1.5 hour job can actually literally take all day if you're going to video it and try to edit it and put it up. So I'm not going to charge for those. I'm just going to keep trying to do them periodically. Have you considered making a Jason Saber prior to him becoming Darth Caedus? Excellent to be another fan of the expanded universe. Thought about it. And you know what? For whatever reason, Jaina, there was just images and ideas came to me when I built Jaina, Sword of the Jedi. I kind of played with some ideas for a Jason Saber, but just nothing ever seemed to click. And as I go back and read the stories, I don't know, maybe it's his character just doesn't grab me, but I don't know. If someday I have an epiphany, then maybe someone said, I thought you owned the custom saber shop. No, I'm just the pretty face of the custom saber shop. Can a nano Scotty go into a NeoPixel saber? Yes, I believe so. You have to double check on that, but I think the Nano Biscotti currently supports NeoPixel. Pretty sure it does. Wouldn't be hard to find out. Just go download the manual from Collector Labs, or even just read on the Custom Saber Shop. Some of the information there will tell you, but I think so. So yeah, Jason Solo Saber? Probably not. Do you ever buy sabers from other companies? No, I don't. I know that other people who do what I do buy sabers from other companies to explore them, to check them out. Unfortunately, in some cases, to copy them, which I really find unfortunate. But no, I sometimes at shows or when I interact with other saber people, I'll see their sabers and I'll ask questions and share ideas. But no, I don't generally buy sabers from other companies. I think Custom Saber Shop, I got one of those empty Luke Return of the Jedi's because I did a video. They needed to send me one so I could do a video on the installation. The ROTJ Corbanth empties. So there are exceptions, but generally, no, I don't buy sabers from other companies. Actually, I need to play with sabers more with my boys. But do you have any tips for an inspiring 3D modeler in regards to aesthetics and design? Wow. I'm kind of the term used to be a backyard mechanic when it comes to things. I'm not an expert machinist. I'm not an electronics engineer. I'm not a graphic designer. I have learned some of these things over the years of hobbying. There's a great deal to learn out there. So advice for graphic designers, I don't know. I kind of be looking to you for advice for me. But in terms of design, I find that it's just all imagination. It's just, just whatever's on your mind. Sometimes I'll see something, a kitchen utensil, and I'll just look at it and go, oh, that gives me an idea for something. Maybe advice. There's an author named Donald Miller, and one of the things he talked about was, reading. Donald Miller talked about when inspiration strikes, go with it. If you have a deadline to meet for some work, that will still get done, but you need to go with inspiration when it strikes. You need to make notes, sketch. So I think that's great advice. When you have an idea, just play with it, work with it, and don't let that moment slip you by, because tomorrow that may not be in your mind. You may not have that particular idea. You may not have that opportunity for discovery of something that's really cool. Does CSS still sell the black and gold soundboard colorway? I've asked them. I don't know. You'd have to ask them. They are a 14-hour drive that way in Idaho. So I don't know. Never actually been there. I'd like to go visit sometime. But Idaho seems cool. They got mountains there, and I like mountains. I like the mountains. Wow, 25 minutes. This time just flies. And if it's crickets, like cricket sounds, nobody's sending in questions, then we'll wrap this up and do this again next week. Someone says, thanks anyways. You're welcome. I don't know what that was in reference to. I only have time to read the questions, not your names. I'm very sorry. I don't mean in any way to diminish you as a person by not acknowledging your name I just can't do it all. What's your favorite character from the Star Wars Expanded Universe? Excellent question. Jake. There, I recognize your name. Or at least I acknowledged it. Origination of the name Mad Cow. That's a whole other story too. Favorite character from Star Wars Expanded Universe? Right now I'm reading I, Jedi, again, by Michael Stackpole, the character of Corran Horn. I love what the expanded universe did with Luke's character, with Han's character, with Chewie, with like the original cast with Leia. I like Mara Jade. I love what Michael Stackpole did for Wedge. The character of Wedge Antilles became this mastermind pilot who was a capable and brilliant general, but really was at his best in the seat of an X-wing. And just leading the X-wing squadron novels, I just love what they do with Wedge's character. The origin of the name is watching a New Space Team Camp, Vancouver, and I used to be part of the leadership team there. And I just picked up the nickname Mad Cow Pet Cow. It was probably after the Mad Cow disease came out. It was a long time ago. Mad Cow Pet Cow was just kind of what people called me because my last name is Petka, but it's easier for people to see it pronounced Pet Cow, so it's Mad Cow Pet Cow. Just kind of stuck. There's some other questions coming in, but I think I'm going to wrap it up. I'm just trying to remember what that last one was. Something to do with wire gauge. There's a lot of questions out there regarding what's adequate for your gauge of wire in your saber. And I'm not going to try to tell you what you should or shouldn't do because there are charts where you can see how many amps and how many volts you can learn what is good. Generally, the heaviest, for NeoPixel anyways, the heaviest wire gauge that you can work with and use, go with that. Double it up. Wires can heat up and melt, which would be really, really bad. So generally with NeoPixel, for the power, the positive and the negative going to the blade and to the board from the battery, whatever you need, as heavy a gauge as possible. It's not as much an issue with Tri-Cree and that kind of thing. On a lot of my builds, I use 28 gauge for a lot of the wiring and then 24 gauge doubled up for the NeoPixel. But it depends. If you're only going that far, the longer the distance, the more resistance can build up. I appreciate all the questions. Thank you for participating in another live from the shop. And we're going to keep doing this as long as people are interested in asking me questions and hearing me go on and on and on. So thanks for participating. Thanks for watching. Thanks for chatting.